what? People die. I know this is a very sad fact that people can die. In fact, you're gonna die one day. I'm gonna die one day. We're all gonna die one day. But what are the most common ways for people to die? Duh, old age. Well, now because of all these technological advances, there are car crashes and airplane crashes and like stuff that involve people exploding or stuff exploding or things burning on fire. Oh yeah, fires can kill people. But what about something that can be carried in a hand and can be tiny and not that quiet and maybe pretty quiet? I'm talking about guns. Now, the proper name for guns are firearms because literally if you are too broad with the name guns can come in different shapes and sizes. In fact, the actual term gun means artillery, like cannons and stuff that you will find on a battleship and ancient battleships and long time ago battleships. All those stuff. And also the artillery pieces that you find on the battlefield. That is what a gun is. The ones that we always hold and go chick with all the time and make memes about it, magazines, is called a firearm. And these handheld weapons are designed so that somebody can hold it, which is kind of obvious because that's kind of the reason why we have them, so that we can hold it and kill people with it. Yeah, that's actually the reason. But something not many people knows about is the history of the firearm. And I'm just gonna include artillery pieces, rockets, and everything that has something to do with launching something to get something or to just impale something by launching something. Anything that's like that, I'm gonna include in it. Except for airsoft and Nerf guns. That will make it way too long. And definitely not those video game laser things. So, sorry guys, I'm not gonna be covering that. Okay, let's go all the way to the beginning. Okay, I know that the meaning of firearm is something that shoots stuff and is powered by gunpowder, but for now I'm just going to include stuff like arrows. So the first launchy thingy would be the stone because people would throw. It's pretty obvious, guys. If you couldn't figure that out, I don't know what to do with you. But yeah, the bow and arrow was an extremely important technological advancement. Although the swinging thing definitely came first, the arrows were very useful. Unlike spears and the single-shot slingshots, with bows and arrows, you could fire, immediately draw, and yes, for a spear, it would be like that's not going to be that fast, and especially for slingshot where you would be like so yeah, the bow and arrow is a good technological advancement. But still, none of this actually hits the definition of a firearm, something that shoots thingies using the power of explosions and gunpowder and chemical reactions and all those things. So, you all know what's going to go on. We got to go up to the matchlock rifle. Why the matchlock rifle? Well, because it's, a rifle, which means it's a gun. Hooray, we love guns. But actually, you know what came before matchlocks? Artillery. Yet the big bad boys that are more powerful than a pistol is actually even earlier. The first types of artillery were not that powerful. They were basically little mortars about this tall. Put the gunpowder in. Put the ball in. Light it, pop, goes and destroys a building or something. These are called mortars, and they're called mortars because they're just called mortars, and for some reason the English definition means that. Fun fact, mortars are actually still used. They work like this. And then it goes, blows a bunch of soldiers up. That's how we use it these days. That's a big change. I wonder how much it changed actually, though. I can assure you that changed a lot. But then new types of cannons arose, like the Naval Cannons, which are the ones that you see in Pirates of the Caribbean. You just put the chainmail in and the gunpowder, just go and fire it out and destroy some ships. That's the newer ones. And also, some empires who most people think of as primitive, created the biggest, baddest, most powerful cannons on the universe. The Ottoman Empire. Now, the Ottoman Empire, they're not as technologically advanced as the Western nation, or so we thought. I know that Western guns looked like this with the shots, with the stock and that stuff, and the Ottomans had these pistol grips along with a big rifle barrel, so it's not as good because of the recoil, yada yada yada. Yes, I'm from New York. But still, their cannons. Go look at their cannons. I mean, take your car. Now take your car if you have one. Now, hopefully you do have a car. How big is it? Pretty big. You can go inside it. Now imagine that car times 2 times 1 times 3. Boom, that's how big the cannon is. Not as long, but like long and tall. 2 cars this way, 1 car here, and 3 over here. That's how big it is. So yes, we're all gonna die. And there's this YouTube channel that really summarized it in one of their videos, extra credits. They explained that the messenger comes and is like, please stop. And the emperor's like, nope. And then the cannon roars again, and all the smoke covers them, and boom, all the royal clothes is like, ugh. Too much smoke. Let's get this off. So yes, they were pretty powerful. They were actually able to lift up a siege in a few days. But now, let's go to the age of the rifle. Now, you probably know what a matchlock rifle is. You mean the Flintlock ones that were used in the Pirates of the Caribbean? What? No! That's not what I'm talking about. The matchlocks. It works when you take a string, go and make it big, and then stick it on here, and then when you pull the trigger, it flings straight into the gunpowder, which causes a chemical explosion, launching the projectile, the bullet, out and, I don't know, into anything that they want. Like an unsuspecting, innocent person, because they use guns for pillaging a lot. Did you know that? It's honestly pretty obvious, though. Now, I said earlier that there were many differences, but how about let's go to the first handheld rifle? And the first handheld rifle was from China! So yes, they had finally found out how to turn cannons into handheld weapons. And in order to do this, it was a big cannon. A small pipe made of stone, I guess. Maybe iron or whatever they used. That's it. Little hole here, put the gunpowder in, go there. And then put the ball in, smack it in, and then of course, you take the burning pin and go. The sparks will fly in and burst the literal cannonball out, and that was the handheld cannon. So wow. Congratulations, China. With that, you could defeat the Mongols. Except the Mongols were not defeated by it. And the Mongols, when they took China, they were like, what's this? Let's just keep these gunpowder weapons. And then they spread it to the ends of the earth in the name of killing people. Yes, all of this is for killing people. Which is not that surprising, actually, because, they launch projectiles into things that are literally designed to penetrate flesh and bone. It was used to kill people. That's that. But still, these matchlock rifles, they were pretty primitive. It took way too long to load, like 2 minutes to one shot every 2 minutes, and you all know that's not going to be very useful. So what they decided to do was simple. They were going to change it. Instead of using those little matches which usually run out until finally you're holding that thing, you put it in and then you blow your hand, your arm, or your entire body off, or the entire gun apart. You know, that's a inconvenience. Guys, it leads to death. What do you think? So they decided to change it. I present to you the Flintlock. It uses flint and steel. You know in Minecraft how you take the flint and steel and go, boom, fire? Well, that's how they're going to use it, except it's actually going to only make a few sparks. A few sparks go into the gunpowder and boom, that's a gun. And it actually worked a lot better. It was more accurate, but there was only one thing. They were not rifled. So literally, inside the ball would go, bang. And in some accounts, the bullets ricocheted off the barrel and ricocheted off the barrel metal, came all the way back, smashed through the metal and wood, and then penetrated the shooter. That's what I call an inconvenience. Guys, you're gonna die if that happens. So they decided to fix this problem by rifling it. And rifling it was simple. Just make a pattern inside it, like one that will make it go swirl, swirl, swirl. Another advancement with the Manet ball. It had notches in it so that it also swayed and swayed and swayed, so that it was more accurate to shoot people's legs off. Wow, we are so smart. How can we come up with the ideas to murder people so well? Because again, these are all ways to kill people. But still, it was not as good as possible, so they decided to change it, like always. They decided to actually use the lever action ones, which were invented in the American Civil War, and President Abraham Lincoln actually shot one. To learn more about the American Civil War, you can check out my series on the American Civil War right with episode 1 at the end of the video, okay? Okay, let's get back to it. They used the lever action rifles, which worked a lot faster, but still, loading it was even harder. So they decided to do a single shot rifle. Did you know that they had invented pistols at this time? Yeah, they had good revolvers that did not take that long to load, so I don't get how they could just take one of those revolvers and stick it up a metal barrel and stick a stock on it and go, woo! They could have done that, but sadly, they did not have the wits to do it. What I mean by wits is that they were complete idiots. And now, they were going to create something new, a bolt action rifle, where you just pull the bolt, place in a thing, and then pull the trigger. You know, all that stuff. Another advancement that we need to talk about is the actual bullet. So before it was just one bullet, you would put the gunpowder and the bullet in separately. But now somebody was like, how about let's take a shell, fill it with gunpowder and other stuffs to make it light, then put the bullet in. Then the explosion will launch the bullet straight out. And that's how all of them work these days. Wow, I can't believe I thought that it was because the gunpowder was naturally in the gun for 6 years. Wow, I am the smartest person on earth went a long time ago. And then they decided to do something differently. Instead of just do that single shot, how about you just create a clip and then shove a bunch of bullets in and then click it and then you can fire it. And that worked pretty well. In fact, it was used in the Great War, and this Great War ended all wars, and there would never be any more wars ever since. I wonder why people call it World War I these days. Definitely because there's not a World War II. Foreshadowing. Anyways, during World War II, what? I have a series on World War II, so you can check that out. Episode 1 is also in the end of the video, and like the credit scene and all that stuff. But then they decided to create a semi-automatic rifle. I know that machine guns have been invented now, you know, the things that go and kill a lot of people in 5 minutes. But they also have those handheld ones that called submachine guns that shoot out pistol rounds and all that stuff. The Germans would put it to great use. But how about a semi-automatic rifle for most rifle troops? And that would be a great idea for the United States of America. They created the M1 Garand, and they used it for the entire Second World War. So, who knew that guns could kill ruthless dictators and monarchies? That's interesting. Then they started inventing those handheld rifle range shooting, fully automatic rifles that could also be semi-automatic if they wanted it to. And boom, now we have what we have today. And then we also have those. And then somebody decided to place those cannons and make it even better, so with the standard bullet thing, and to maximize the size to a giant human being, and then place these cannons on top of boats and then make it more armored, and boom. And that's the history of firearms. And I know that you had to watch the entire video in order to get to the end, but you could have only realized one thing instead of watch the entire video. But I'm glad that you did. But the one thing that you gotta understand is that they did it to kill people.